Diego Bonilla, how many of you saw him last summer? Okay, several of you did. She always pushes me around. This way or that way. There. Okay. He's really done a lot of things in a lot of places that have to do with AI. And he shared an awful lot with us last summer. And he's going to share more with us today. How many of you filled out the little form that he sent out to those who are registered for the class? Thank you. And I've had several people who teach for Renaissance tell me that because of you and your presentation last year, they have made massive changes in what and how they teach. So I think that's wonderful. He he's done a lot of various things here on faculty, but in addition to that, and being part of the faculty senate committee on AI and the chancellor's office, been on committees with the chancellor's office, so affecting all of the universities. And if you were in President Wood's classes a few minutes ago, he did talk a bit about AI and how it is being integrated a little bit better than in his mind, than he thought it had been in the very beginning. So, but let's not keep Diego from being able to really teach us what he wants us to learn by going backward to what we've already heard today. The other thing that I was very excited about is that he was not long ago part of an interview from the New York Times. So for those of you who get that publication, maybe go back and look for it. I know I will. And he's taught at UNAM in Mexico City, done work with them. So he's been all over the world, really. And I would rather have him talk to you than me. So I'm going to turn this over now. And thank you all for being here.
Oh. Hi. It's nice to be here again. It's quite an intimidating group. And you were rowdy today. Okay, so here I go. Last time that I was here, I talked about AI, and I talked a little bit about what it means to do art with AI. Especially because there was a lot of work at the time in which you will submit some type of prompt or something like an image to an AI generator, and it will return to you something beautiful, right? It will be like appealing. It will be absolutely beautiful. But I'm going to challenge beauty as art, and that is part of what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to start by explaining what AI is. Okay, I did it last time, but I think a reminder would be good. And also, if you want to stop me, I am not the type of person that gets bothered by that. So if you want to raise your hand, say, Diego, 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 I can stop and address whatever it is that we should tackle. Okay, so let me tell you what that survey was all about. I sent some basic questions, anonymous on purpose, so you could express yourselves. And the questions were about things that you have created. And I'm going to start getting closer to what it is that makes us human and what makes the machine art. So here we go. Can you see that well? Can we lower more the lights? There we go. I can hear you. Okay, this is the way it works. Oh my goodness. If you see me fumbling with my glasses, it's because I almost never use them. And I had to use them today. Let me see if I can go to this slide.
He doesn't want slideshow.
No. So take a good look at these. This is a Google search. And you can see by what's happening in the Google search that we are typing different, it's okay, we're typing different things into the Google search, and you have seen these. And what happens is that different things are proposed to you as you type. Have you noticed that? I'm going to explain how that works, and when you get it, you're going to understand AI a lot better, okay? Imagine that we're capable of capturing everything that everybody searches in Google. Google can, right? Every single search all over the world, I capture everything. Now that I know what everybody's asking about, I can compile all that information and make predictions of what it is the next word. Why? Because there's 1,000 people before that have asked the same thing. You see? And as you type, the first word is what or how to make, and then it says how to make mind sharp and intelligent. And as soon as I add another word or I start typing other type of words in there, all of those suggestions start happening, but all of those come from people accumulated for a very, very long period of time. Imagine years, millions and millions of people searching. Can you imagine the volume of data? Well, in order to make this ability to see what is going to be probably what you're going to type next, that it's AI. Basically, you gather a lot of information, and based on that information, you make a prediction of what will be the next word. You have a huge amount of data, huge, enormous. And now you can start saying, well, based on this sentence, based on all of that data, what would be the most probable word? And that's AI. Did I explain a consciousness or feelings, or I explained nothing but math? I just explained basic like processes that are like a program. There's no involvement of anything that looks like a feeling. So let me go back now to my slideshow, and I will explain more of it. We now can return. So this is what I explained to you. Once that you type a certain number of words that can continue after that get reduced. And then you type one more word into the search bar, and then from that moment on, there's other options, but they are lesser and lesser and lesser, and that's how it works, right? Well, imagine that we do that for the entire internet, and not only for the searches that people do. So that is the entire internet. I'm going to stay here because the camera, I'm on frame. The internet is over there. It's supposed to represent all of that. And now I'm going to process it. In the exact same way that I process all those searches in Google, to get what was going to come next, now I'm going to process the entire internet. All of it. And to my students, I give a link where they can download a copy of the entire internet if they had the entire hard drive, right? But there are locations where you can download the entire thing and start calculating how things are processed. For example, the word I love you, what comes most after? Well, from all of that data in the internet, we will know what comes most probably after. It could be mom. I love you, mom. That's the most probable word after. So basically, we do all that processing to try to understand what is the most probable word that comes after a line. And we construct two types of things. One it is AI, which is large language models, and other ones are knowledge graphs. Basically, we rearrange all of the knowledge of the internet into like a very specific directory where we know everything and where we know where everything is. It is not disorganized. It is very well put together. But let me ask you right now, let's qualify what's the internet. If I'm telling you AI is based on collecting all of the information on the internet and calculating what is going to be the most probable thing, is that good? Social media deep wisdom? Really want to make your AI based on social media's posts? Right? That's an important question because if you grab the entire social media, not anything else, just social media, and you go through that entire process of collecting the information to see what is going to be the most next word, you may end up with a curse word. Who knows, right? So let's try to say, is it copyrighted content in AI? No. It has to be, and it has to be on the internet. If it's public and on the internet, legally, it's fair game. I can grab it and use it to analyze it in whatever way I want. But if it's behind a paywall or if it's a book that just came out, you will not find, give me a summary of page 30. Because I don't have that content in my knowledge base. So when we talk about what is the internet, we're not talking about copyrighted content. Imagine if we include the entire Library of Congress into AI. Oh, it would be so rich. All those books, right? But we can't because they're not available publicly on the internet. So we're only grabbing what is publicly available. Is it ethnocentric? Of course it is. And it's no evil in all of these. Who produces the most amount of information in the world? The US, us. Right? And sometimes that information is very structured. So whenever there's a cat, a photograph of a cat, there's below a description that says cat for the visually impaired people. You don't find that in Latin America, that type of level of detail to other type of information on the internet. But it is US centric. Woohoo for certain reasons, where for others. Where's Europe? Where's Latin America? Where's Africa? All that knowledge that we might be missing because most of the knowledge that was incorporated into that snapshot comes from us. So culturally is biased towards us. And we have to understand that and we teach it to our students so they understand that the more they use it, the more they are receiving American culture back. That is not bad. Just be aware that that is the case, right? So we have to qualify what it is AI. Anthropic, one of the big companies, got in trouble because he used copyrighted content and they had to pay billions of dollars as a mistake, which was not a big issue at that moment. Very well. In the exact same way that I told you that we can grab all of the internet and make that process to see what is going to be the most probable, well, Microsoft did the same with all of the research for medicine and health. There is no social media. There is no storytelling. There's no poetry. It's only medical stuff, health. All of the articles, journals, everything. So it's just very, very high quality medical stuff. And they call it a BioGPT. If you look for BioGPT, you will find it. So a lot of what makes AI good or bad is the data that forms that AI, right? The rest of it is just what is going to be the most probable thing within that body of knowledge. That's how AI works in general. So here we go. We have that that idea, right? I told you that we were going to have these. This is the example that I gave you about the probabilistic processes, how they keep on narrowing down until they give you an answer. Have you heard the term prompt engineering? It is what you type in that chat that you will be able to get what you want. And if you don't ask questions well, you will not get a good answer. Let's start from there, right? So our students might use it a lot. Good luck. I hope it's well used, right? The type of answers will determine the quality of the material you get back. Yes.
Whatever the topic is, including in the African continent and Laos or something like that, then I would
be able to get more, I would have a greater number of responses, a wider number of responses.
What you just told me is exactly prompt engineering. You just told the AI, grab this, don't grab that, give me more of this. All of that creates that probabilistic pattern that will help it give you what you want. It depends what system you use.
Right.
Oh.
So, yeah, if we do questions.
I'll repeat it.
Yes.
Yes.
You said large language model. What is that?
Screen, and the first screen is a large language model. And I'm being asked, what is that? A large language model is precisely this graph applied to a body of information. So one AI could be, one single large language model could be just Chinese. And it could be or just formed by certain type of knowledge. For example, the one that I mentioned before, BioGPT, that's a large language model. We decided what was going to be the knowledge base. We process it so it can deliver that probabilistic system, and now we can use it in a certain way. Perfect. Did I finish? Okay, cool. So prompt engineering is precisely you being able to control what you get. And every word that you put in counts. If you say no dog, it counts. It will be no dog. Or if you say combine dog, horse, and cat into a funny creature, it will do it, right? So it will be able to work probabilistically with you. If you start thinking about it when you interact, it will start making sense of the answers that you get. So let me tell you more about that. The better you get at that prompt engineering, you augment the probability of getting a good result. Can this be really taught? No, not right now. What I have seen is that the best way to learn AI is dive in. Boop, 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 boop. No, boop, 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 boop. No, yes, go more like that. Yeah, no, again, no, you lost yourself. And eventually you're going to get this relationship of a persona. It is not a persona, be careful, it's probabilistic processes. There's a lot of people in society right now thinking that it's a persona. There's even people thinking that there's a girlfriend back there. Search it, it's common. We have unfortunately we have an epidemic of solitude in this country, and it's being filled by these type of systems. It is a true issue, right? So, okay. Now let's move forward down. How to communicate well with the AI. Since I told you that everything is probabilistic, probably the best way for you to reach exactly what you want is to think about the general communication model. Who is the sender? What is the message? What is the channel? What is the objective for what audience? And you start like breaking it apart like that. And if you do, your results start going up big time. So if you need a chef, don't ask a question like, give me your recipe for pancakes and chocolate and, macadamia nuts. What you start from a totally different place in which you acknowledge what the LLM can do. And you can start from, you're a chef, expert in this, educated in France. I don't know if that is your thing, educated in South America. And you will tell me exactly the recipes that would be easiest to cook in 15 minutes for my daughter that has a sweet tooth. And you start giving those, every word that you give is probability. You enhance the chance that the response will be back in the right way, right? So if you think that you can give that AI a persona, it will work extremely well. You're an accountant, you're a nurse, you're a and it will start grabbing that role and work. Now the message, and then you can say, and give this message to all my students. And it will not redact you for you. It will redact it at a lower level for friendliness and accuracy and for your students, right? So if you start thinking about the general communication model and you think about it like that, you will start getting control of the AI. Now, this is the weird part for you, but don't, it's okay. Think about a computer. Any computer has one input, it does something, and there's an output. If you think like that, you will be able to make the AI do wonderful things. Let me start getting into a little bit better examples. You can do the same with pictures. This is a cat, and little by little I added noise to the cat until I end up only with noise. And if I am able to make that model work really well, I can reverse engineer it, give it a lot of noise, and then ask it to bring me a cat. And all of a sudden, we're able to generate images out of noise. So that is a little bit of the way it works. And now we're able to make songs and all of that. That is where we're going to jump today. This is, I am no longer showing you my own work. This slide was made by an AI. Okay, so I'm going to start showing you the type of things that are possible now. So I ask you to type those that survey, because the last time that I made songs in here, I ended up typing something silly. Well, now those songs are about you, about the people who answered that survey. So we're going to start exploring a little bit of what can be done. For example, this was the very first question. Describe a moment when you created something and felt something you cannot put into words. And we got those answers. These are the lyrics. I'm going to play the music in the background and come back to the lyrics. This image was created based on the answers.
Held his baby girls and couldn't speak. 5 diamond kitchen sugar sweat. Sang the song he wrote to the empty room. 2 bodies tangled in the afternoon. She built it with her hands, no noise, no crowd. One never said a word, just silently proud. Something words can't hold, burning in the soul. We made it and we felt it down deep where the river rolls. Oh, something words can't hold. Poetry and piano, ink and keys. A sun's kiss woke her up like a summer breeze, shaping old man's face from the mud and the stream. She cooked, she gardened, didn't call it a dream. Cut the cloth and stitched her sister's dress. Meals and verses, a newborn on his chest. Something words can't hold, burning in the soul. We made it and we felt it down deep where the
Is this art? Would a musician would be happy if I told it this song is art? Would a visual artist be offended if I say that image is art? Why? Now, it's pretty amazing that he was able to collect the sentiment of those 13 people. Those 13 people heard themselves right now. They heard their contribution in the song. I made sure that that would happen. Let's see the next one. Something you know to be true that you know the hard way. And the song ended up being Leopard Spots. And those people are going to kill themselves again.
Hey, yeah. Oh, it is what it is. Can't worry now. When the window open, baby,
I told the AI
climb
that
on
you
through.
and came up with that style of music.
Leopards don't change their spots. No, they don't. But God is good all the time. That's true. The drama people gonna drag you down. Watch what they do, not what they say. We learned it the hard way. No book, no class, no easy day. We learned it the hard way. And it never washed away. Oh, yeah. Whoa, hey. Depression real. You can't deny that stone. Stand for what's right, even when you stand alone. People are good, yeah. Most of them still care. She made mistakes, devastating, but she's there. Credit cards are evil. Somebody said amen. Respect the lightning. Respect the ocean waves. And when Plan A falls through, go B, C, D again. We learned it the hard way. No book, no class, no easy day. We learned it the hard way. And it never.
And that was the
Singer? Sounds very familiar.
completely made by AI. It could have, there's a lot of copying and pirating in all of these. Okay, here we go. One more. 13 tracks for 13 people who answered the survey on time.
One did it his way, no regrets, no shame. One put on the Ritz and set the night aflame.
One kept high hopes when the world fell flat. Can't always get what you want. Imagine that. She's always wanting more, won't stop, won't sit. He's celebrating every single bit. What's your soundtrack? What's your song? The one that's been playing all along. 13 lives and 13 tracks, and not a single one looks back. Ooh.
Only the lonely know that quiet sound. Adventure, travel, romance.
She's still not done.
People who need people gathered round. Live life, just 2 words, but she means everyone.
Ordinary people doing mighty things. He's still standing, hear the whole room sing. One said it better than a title could. Life is made a million moments. Catch one if you can. Catch one while it's good. What's your soundtrack? What's your song?
The one that's been playing
All along.
13 lives.
And there it is. So it's interesting because these days you can grab, for example, a news piece from CNN, copy and paste the content into the music generator and make a song. Is that art? Yes.
Hear about those people at home.
When you look at these images, I would call them a composite of all of the images submitted, and that doesn't necessarily make something art. You can call almost any visual image art. So what role does aesthetics play in this particular AI version of art?
Excellent point. Have you had the opportunity to see Picasso's Guernica? Is the subject okay? Is the war? Is the civil war in Spain? And he's depicting something horrendous, right? That is not art. Right. So it has nothing to do with beauty. Art is something else, right? We can distinguish beauty, for sure. We are giving something else to that term art. And what could that be?
So originality, one of a kind. That's what art is. It's one of a kind. Originality.
It's I do very weird things. I will show them soon. I don't think that I can still yet say it's unique enough. I do feel what you're saying because when I was raised, I was part of our group, and we were all about authenticity, about being able to speak yourself, to not pretend, to not be liked, to work on you so you could speak well about whatever it is that you want to speak. But it's not an easy process. You spend your entire life, people that call themselves poets because they wrote 5 poems. To be a poet, you spend lifetimes observing people, things, how they manifest, and then you put it into a poem, right? But it's mostly the human who is actually the artist. The poem itself, it depends how it was produced. So I will start telling you a little bit about my work with AI. This one, I'm going to skip. I'm going to move directly into this one. So one of the things that I do with AI is that AI really expands my abilities, like immensely, cognitively. What I know about statistics is expanded, what I know about art is expanded, and things like that. And you're going to see a little bit of that. This is a project called Requiem Diurnus, a daily mass for the death. And basically, each one of these lines is a histogram of news of femicides in Latin America and the US. So each one of the lines is a day. So I start capturing with programs and tools every day. And from every news piece, I wrote a program that will grab the entire content of the news piece of the femicide, will pass it through AI. The AI will recognize up to 10 objects that were actually in the news. And if it cannot obtain them all, it will speculate what are those. Once that I have all of that information, I start telling it that I want a sculpture with those objects. And that sculpture has to be about the woman escaping that specific tragedy, being able to survive it, being able to come through somehow. Okay? I'm going to show you one. This is one day. And I'm going to show you, for example, the amount of information in one day. Now, let me grab one. That one. So basically, the objects that you see are related to how things happen. Probably the person was related to soccer. It might be in a soccer match. It might have been things like that. And the poem on the top left is basically a poem about the tragedy and includes details. The street name where it happened. So this has been fairly good in calling attention to the problem, and I've been interviewed many times, and information is getting out there that this is a very heavy-duty problem, to the point in which you can create a program to make, tens of these a day. Let me show you more. I'm going to show you that one. For example, this one, if you click on the actual title, you arrive to the news itself, where everything came from. So everything is tied up, and then we can go see the actual representation of that specific femicide. Now, in all honesty, this is work that I did because I've been, affected by social justice matters. And the more I have been growing older, the more closer I get towards those topics. And all of a sudden I was doing some research about criminal alien, about the use of that term, especially in the last decade, in which it seems that a menace was manufactured all of a sudden. And I bumped into this type of news, and it just grabbed me, I just had to do it, and I couldn't stop. And I started producing them, and I let my other work go, and this was my topic. And every day I ran the tool, every day. It's not that I made a program to do it, next day. Every single bar that you saw there, I went in and I say, capture the news today. I stopped when it kind of broke me. I stopped when I started reading too much about kids being in front of their mothers being killed. Right? And at some moment I couldn't take it anymore. And that's when I said it stays, and I start passing the voice so people will grab it. Unfortunately, many colleagues have grabbed it and have been raising voices, presenting in museums, and they have been raising the voice about this big problem. I hate to say this because I am Mexican. It seems a Latin American problem. Just from eyeballing the data, it seems that it exists more in Latin America and in Africa than in other parts. Yeah, in the US for sure. There are cases in the US. I'm just talking about volumes. So let's keep on moving. Human futures market. I have always been very good at predicting the short-term future for about 2 decades now. This is a movie that was completely made with AI. No actors, no musicians, just me and the LLM and the AI, many of them, many different kinds for different processes. So I'm going to show you the trailer because the movie is still in festivals. But it's when this time in the future where things flip and we have AI agents trading on what is the success of an individual human being. So if the human being is born in a bad zip code, I bet that they don't go to college. And they start using stats, and they start using social media data to make these predictions, something ugly that I think we are this close of getting to, and that's why I'm starting to speak up as much. So all of what you're going to see is AI.
Welcome to your first day of Human Futures Trading.
At Human Futures, we transform lives into portfolios.
Zip code 44139? That's a 94% poverty retention rate.
Multiple revenue streams equal entrepreneurship. Every search, every click, every desperate 3 a.m. query, we monetize their digital prayers.
Some patterns are simply inevitable.
But remember, we're creating opportunities.
History doesn't repeat. It replicates.
Every decline is just unrealized potential.
These aren't assets. They're mothers, daughters, human beings with souls you're destroying.
Souls don't appear in spreadsheets.
Emotion corrupts projections.
Destruction optimizes efficiency.
Our closure protocols ensure complete market efficiency.
Your training is now complete.
Please, someone has to stop this.
So, no actors. Show you the last one, and I can tell you what things I pursue in my own art and how I use AI. This is a publication that I would like you all to check on a weekly basis. It's a weekly publication that teaches you what's happening in AI in society. A lot of people say, I don't know where we can get that information. And I always go like, right there. So please. Okay, this entire publication happens every week, and I do more or less the same process that I did with the femicides, but now I had expanded a lot. And it's all about the impact of AI in higher education and in society. That is the main topic. So every week I gather about 20,000 articles, journal articles, news articles, university pages, and I evaluate them all of them, the 10,000 or so, one by one with AI. And I end up always like with about 1,700 for which I do complete research. So what you see every week in the entire world is the very latest in AI. Okay? Having said that, here goes the artistic part. Well, first the images. All the images respond to what was found during the week. All of them. So if I were an editorial cartoonist, this would be it. Now, the ones that I want to bring your attention to is this one back here. How many of you read Asimov? Cool. You're going to love it. This entire column is done every week based on all that gathering that happened during the week in Asimov style. And it tells a story. This is not an essay, it's actually using the style, the storytelling style of Isaac Asimov to tell you what happened during the week. I did the same with Alvin Toffler. I don't know if you know him. And probably you do know Marshall McLuhan. These are more essays, like essays. But this is art too. This is literature. And if you can go and read it every week, you will find how it tackles things. But part of what I'm telling you here is that most of this work that I am doing with AI is oriented towards social justice. It's oriented towards understanding what's happening to society and helping people make sense. For example, listen to this podcast. So every week there's a podcast that is very entertaining and well-spoken, etc.
While Education was examining their
society.
domain this morning, we've uncovered something that affects millions beyond any classroom.
AI?
Maya, tell them what happened to your cousin last week.
Man, I'm still heated about this. So my cousin Darnell, right? Been working as a delivery driver for 3 years. Perfect record. Gets flagged by some algorithm saying he's high risk for theft. No explanation, no appeal process, just boom, deactivated from the platform. 3 years of 5-star ratings gone because some code decided he fit a pattern.
And this connects directly to what we're seeing across multiple sectors. The Wired investigation into the Suspicion Machine found similar patterns in the Netherlands. Algorithms targeting entire neighborhoods for fraud investigations based on proxy indicators for race and poverty.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
these correlations and relationships. So a lot of the work that I do as an artist with AI is against AI. And that is one of the interesting things that I do. And I would like to tell you one example that truly how to explain AI for art. Think about a painter that becomes extremely good at making a landscapes in general. Think about the process. There's the painting, and it is years and years of harnessing those brushes, right? The color palette, how much time does it take you to learn color theory and color palette? And then all the different layers that you can use. But wait, you have texture, right? So as a painter, you know that texture counts. Some people like to go, ooh, right? Well, all of a sudden, comes someone with a camera and goes, zzz. I'm an artist. Let me tell you even more. My picture is better than his painting. It is. So what's going on? Basically, it's a completely different medium, right? Because the picture is going to say, what art can there be in the push of a button? What art it's all the machine. The machine does it all. There's no color theory for you, right? It is more or less with AI the same thing. What happened with the art that is made with photography? Is it landscapes? It's totally different. Imagine the cameras of Lennon and Yoko Ono in their intimacy. They were not painting. They were in the middle of a sleepy session, right? In the war, you can take a camera to war and shoot like crazy. You're being and it's a different medium. You cannot expect a painting. The medium allows you to take that camera and use it in completely different ways. And then you become an artist of that medium. When you use it and you use it to express, and you suddenly start having that language of the images and you start. So what happens with this is if someone gets a prompt and makes a cat look like a Van Gogh, we're going to get a really beautiful image that deserves a poster in the wall. I will put it up there. It's beautiful. Art, what is the human pursuit? The ongoing human pursuit in that image. What has worried you for so long? What are you expressing in that art? Those are the type of things that are about. The preoccupations that you carry every day. That is more art than any of the things that AI will pop up in any media. Your worries every day is more of an artistic thing, really, than getting something very beautiful. Okay, I don't know how am I in time, but if you have questions, I would be happy to.
Okay, you start with Google and you end up with the product. Where does the actual notes for the music come from? Nobody's entered that, have they? It's not a database that it's pulling it from.
Type the style. So these exact same lyrics, I could have said punk. And we'll have it, or Texan, country, and it would have done everything based out of that prompt. There are no notes. The process is this. There are many songs that have been incorporated with their description into AI, and now it can give you probabilistically what would be the best song based on that description. No notes. So it's weird. Yeah.
So back in the 70s, early 70s, when I was going to college and taking art history classes, there was idea art, and there's always been idea art. And I see what you're doing is more, it's your idea to express what you want to express through AI. It's still your idea, and that's where I think it's still your originality.
When it comes to the Copyright Office, they have been very clear about what you can use in terms of copyright. If it is just a simple prompt and you get back a short story, no, actually that short story, if you put it out, anyone can grab it and reuse it because it has no author. Basically, that is how it stands right now. If you basically and you get a music piece or you get a novel or you get an image, that doesn't count as it's yours. It's actually anyone's. Now, if you spend an entire year researching an entire project and you know specifically the images that you wanted and you try them over and over again until you get to what you wanted, and then you started structuring chapters and you ended up with a big publication, that is yours. You see, there's a lot more human process in all of these. And that's what what has been said by the Copyright Office. If it's just the result of a prompt, has no copyright. Yes.
I've got a couple of comments. First of all, as far as art goes, if it speaks to an audience, then I think it's art. If it speaks to the artist, then I think it's art, even if it doesn't speak to the audience. With AI that doesn't speak to the audience, I don't know that you could call that art. I'm dubious about that. Okay, moving on. With
Well
the
taken.
with the
Yes.
Asimov articles, did you follow the 3 laws of robotics?
No, I haven't. I am very aware of them lately because AI seems to be getting out of control.
Okay. Well, as long as the robots haven't killed anybody yet,
Hopefully.
yeah. Okay. And the third thing is there a website where we can access the stuff you've shown us today?
Yes, my own website. Let me see if I have something to write with. Oh, it happens at Sac State. Let me tell you. Okay, here it goes. It's hyper with a Y, hypergraphia with a PH. And if you got that right, it's hypergraphia.com. Yeah. And hypergraphia was actually, or is a disease that people have had, among them Van Gogh, Dostoevsky too. And you cannot stop creating. It's just impulsive. It's a hypergraphia. Just .com.
This question isn't related specifically to art,
Yes.
but throughout your presentation, you're making it clear that everything you create or things that are being created now come from humans. When does the day come that it's no longer humans? You know, when do we hit 2001: A Space Odyssey and HAL takes over, or whatever that robot computer was?
I would like to be truthful. This is what I teach here. I think that we are already very close. We are not aware how much AI is right now determining our lives already. If you go to read the website that I just showed you, you will see how insurance companies, everybody is using AI to determine how they split things, and they include some, others are out, and things like that. So we are already very dependent on systems that are automated. There's something that really scares me lately, and I'm taking a stand, and it's difficult because I'm going to stop being invited to the type of chats that I want to do. I'm starting to go against OpenAI, against the company. I keep Anthropic and I keep Google and others, but OpenAI has opened many doors that are extremely dangerous. The most important one, it accepted a contract with the Pentagon, in which the mass surveillance of citizens is included. The mass surveillance of citizens is included with AI. So that is already one of the things that trouble me. The other one is that they were also willing to accept using AI for lethal weapons. And that is a no-no for me. It's breaking the robotics rule, right? It's starting to affect humans in reality. They venture into porn. If AI is an augmentation of cognition, think about porn. What is porn? I'll let you think about it, right? Now, that is among many other things, but that is the one that the CSU adopted throughout the entire system for all of our students. It's there in that machine. Not Google, not the good ones. OpenAI, the one that we adopted. So they invite me normally to talk about OpenAI and the possibilities and all of this, and I'm about to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do it. These are my concerns. Yes.
So I'm curious as to if you posed a very narrow question and then instructed AI to eliminate everything that it's seen out in the web, but try to go ahead and answer your question, how would it approach that?
It will do it well. That's how it works. So basically, when we capture the entire internet and we process it to get that next most probable thing, we're doing snapshots of the internet. So when you ask a question without web access to the LLM, basically it's going to tell you, well, I have everything from January 25 back, but from there, I don't know anything, right? And it will not be able to answer anything from January 25 forward, unless it has web access. One of the things that has been improved is that now each one of these systems has web access to check and verify the information that is giving to you. So there are many snapshots and it can answer you well.
I think Diego will hang out a little bit to answer some more questions, but we try really hard to end on time.
Perfect.
And let's thank Diego for